Drew, good evening again. Joining us live now is the mayor of Indianapolis, Greg Ballard. Mr. Ballard, you were just inside with the families while they were doing a count. Can you tell us what was going on inside while you were there?
Yeah, there's about 100 and 150 people in there, and they're getting the names. The IFD and the sheriffs and the police are all working together to make sure it's organized. They know who's in there and who they should be looking for. But right now, people are kind of getting their families together. They're pretty calm right now. You can see that their faces are a little bit in shock right now, but I think they're going to be okay because a lot of support in there right now. We have nurses in there, we have pastors in there, we have IFD and the police and sheriffs and so many other people. Can't thank the school enough for opening up, clearly.
What did you tell those families who are shaken, who are at this point are still saying to themselves, what happened tonight? What did you tell them to sort of calm those fears?
Well, I just kind of walked down the bleacher line. I was asking them, do you have everything you need? And that, there's a lot of support here for you. That was basically the message, and I think they appreciated that. But at the same time, there's some things to be done. I mean, a lot of their houses have been damaged, some severely, some maybe a little bit, but I think they just kind of need some emotional support, so I think they'll be looking to the families here in the near future. But there's a lot of, the community responded so fast and so well that that helps out quite a bit. But it's going to take quite a few hours for this to wear off on them.
And I would imagine that as a mayor, that really makes your job easier. We have seen a number of nurses who just showed up because that's what they do. They nurse people. Even though there are not a lot of injured people inside, and we've seen people who ran into homes because that's what Hoosiers do. They just run in and do what they're supposed to do.
It is, and there's stories about that. I was talking to some people in there. Some of the neighbors walked down and knocked on doors, and so that has been happening. I was talking to a group in there that I thought had been moved out and moved over here. No, they were just a volunteer. And so it is happening just inside of there, and of course at the site. The site's been pretty well cleared out by now, but it's clear that the carrying capacity community that we call Indianapolis is really doing very, very well right now in that regard.
Mayor, as we see, just sort of on the horizon, the plume of smoke has really decreased. My understanding is that you went to assess the damage. Can you give us an idea, from your perspective, what did you see and what was going on about an hour ago when you arrived here?
Yeah, when we walked over to the site, we were right at the site, and there were two houses just completely down. I mean, just down. Major damage to houses immediately surrounding, and then for a block or two there was garage doors off their hinges, doors blown out, windows blown out, and so damage in that regard also. That's really what we saw, and at that time the firefighters were still fighting one small fire, but I would imagine that's out by now, but that's all they had left at that point in time. But it's not a pretty scene over there. Really two houses have been destroyed and major damage to the houses nearby surrounding.
What is the plan now? Because now it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Will the families be allowed to return to their homes? Will they have to stay here at Mary Bryant Elementary? Because at the end of the day, it's also about public safety and making sure that this doesn't happen again or that there's not another explosion. So what is the plan moving forward as we now head into the 2 o'clock hour almost?
Yeah, I think in the next few hours they'll have to stay here at Mary Bryant. If people come pick them up, that's okay. I mean, they'll want them. We will want them to check out with IFD to do that. But so that's okay. I wouldn't anticipate they're going to go back anytime soon. I think they probably want to find out the cause of the explosion, make sure there's nothing residual there that would cause a subsequent. So it doesn't look like that right now. But the IFD is very, very careful about this, very professional. So I think that would be the plan going forward right now.
Have you asked the utilities and the folks on your team to keep you abreast of the information as it develops throughout the hours?
I don't have to ask them; they'll do that anyway. They'll do that anyway.
But a good reminder from the mayor is always helpful, right?
Yeah, probably so. But there will, a lot of people coming out to check the damage clearly and just see what happens. So it's going to be in flux. People earlier were saying that it might have been an airplane. It's not an airplane, so it's just some sort of explosion that people heard from miles around. I talked to people who were 2 miles away, and they said they thought it was right in front of their home, so it must have been loud and very forceful.
You were at an event this evening honoring the United States Marines. When did you get the call, and was it immediately when you heard? How did that all fall into place?
Well, actually, I'd gone to two events after the ball, and I was at Lucas Oil Stadium when we got a page, and my security officer got a page and talked to me about it. And so I waited a few minutes to see if anything else was forthcoming, but we left in the middle of the award ceremony to to come through here, to make sure everybody was okay and to assess the damage.
Mr. Mayor, thank you so much. I'm sure we will be talking about this for the hours and days to come. The Mayor of Indianapolis, Greg Ballard, thank you so much, sir, for joining us this evening. Again, as you can see behind me, live pictures here, that the plume of smoke just decreasing as the hours go on. By the minute, the plume is decreasing as the firefighters that are there, Indianapolis firefighters, are doing their jobs. You heard from the Mayor of Indianapolis that moments ago he spoke.